Thursday, the Dodgers open, and the Angels open on Friday. They're actually going to play baseball. We'll actually talk about, hits and home runs and pitchers and players. And, we won't be talking about COVID-19, the coronavirus, and how weird it is as much. And the Dodgers are a favorite to win the World Series, if not the favorite. I just got an email with a sort of Vegas odds or, projected win totals, and the Dodgers are number one at 37.5 wins. I think the Yankees are number two at 36.5. They are a loaded team. They traded for Mookie Betts like 2 days before spring training started. This team, exhibition games are exhibition games, but the first two games against the Diamondbacks, they just crushed them. It was like a combined score of like 21-2 or something. It's a very good team. The questions will always be the bullpen. Can Kenley Jansen sort of figure it out? They signed Blake Trinan over the winter. 2 years ago, he was probably the best closer in baseball. Last year, he dealt with injuries and just wasn't very good. Joe Kelly was really inconsistent last season. So if they can figure that out, they'll be good, because that offense is going to be, it's so deep. It's crazy. Now, starting rotation has a couple more questions than they did a few weeks ago, because David Price decided not to play this season. So that leaves sort of a hole in the 3 slot in the rotation. I think Julio Urias is going to be a huge part of this team. If he can stay healthy and, kind of pitch to his potential every 5th day and be a solid number 3 for them, that's going to go a long way, especially in the postseason, if they make the postseason, because 60-game seasons, you see some crazy stuff. Not that we have any experience in it, but I assume we'll see some crazy stuff. How about what's it like looking over there down in Anaheim? I know they're a really deep team. Rendon, Ohtani, Trout, they're loaded offensively. But what about the pitching?
Yeah, I mean, they, like you said, they're loaded offensively, and that was their focus during the off season, it seemed. Whereas the pitching kind of fell a little bit to the wayside. They added Julio Teheran and on a 1-year contract, but Teheran had to miss the first couple of weeks of camp. Actually, I think it ended up being 3 weeks, but math is hard right now. He had coronavirus, so he was delayed in that, and so he's back at camp. He's been back at camp and working out since Saturday. He expects to be back in the rotation by early August, so they could be without him for a couple of weeks. He'll be but again, Terang is a good pitcher, but he's not the frontline starter that the Angels really needed going into this season, and they're kind of hanging all their hopes on Shohei Ohtani coming back and being that guy for them. And Ohtani, as a rookie in 2018, revolutionized baseball, being the first two-way player the first legit two-way player since Babe Ruth won Rookie of the Year that year too. And they're counting on him to come back and be that guy. And he seems like he's on pace to be, on track to be. And granted, like his training camp starts weren't great. He struggled with his command a lot, but his velo was back. Well, he wasn't full effort, but he was pretty close. The good thing about Ohtani is because he throws 100 on a regular basis, he can just say, I was 80%, 90%, and I was throwing 90. So Ohtani is doing well, and the only thing that the disclaimer on Ohtani is because the Angels prefer to give him a day off before and after he pitches, he'll only have a chance to impact the lineup approximately 30 games out of the 60. So in total, you're looking at a body work of maybe 40 games. But if he maximizes that opportunity, he could very well be a contender for the MVP award. And then when it comes to the rest of the pitching staff, the Angels really need Andrew Heaney, who's in the final year of his contract now, to overcome the injuries that he's had throughout his career, and kind of seemed to, for a second, to be a little that's in question. But he had some back stiffness during the weekend, and he was scheduled to make his final start before opening day on Saturday. Ended up working out of the bullpen because of that back. He says he's good now and he's ready to go, and he's scheduled for Friday's opener. But that's always going to be the question with the Angels. They have continued to have shoulder injuries, elbow injuries, all kinds of things. The death of Tyler Skaggs too last year. I mean, rotation has just been such a tough thing for them, and that's pretty much the most glaring weakness. The lineup is good. Rendon right now, though, the only problem is he has sore oblique, and oblique muscles and are not easy to forecast. So right now the Angels don't know if he's going to be in the lineup on Friday. So there's a good chance that he might start the season on the IL.
We're also talking about these teams, we're talking about the rosters, and beyond injuries, one guy getting a virus can lead to a bunch of guys getting a virus, and these rosters changing a bunch, and the team's sort of forecast or the team's outlook looking very different. And that's where depth is going to come in a little differently than in the past. Over 162 games, depth is very important. 60 games, obviously smaller sample size, but we got the virus looming. Depth might be very important in a different way. What happens if Cody Bellinger's out for 2 weeks? What happens if Kershaw's gone for 3 weeks? There are a lot of variables in play. Mike Trout, his wife's going to have a baby. What's going to happen? Is he going to leave? Is he going to be allowed to come back within a couple of weeks? That can really change the course of a season for a team. And we have no idea how it's going to turn out. We're talking about the Dodgers right now being loaded. In 2 weeks, they might not be very loaded. You just don't know. And with that, what do you think? How's it going to look for the Angels this year? I know it's hard. I'm going to preface it by saying that these predictions might look very dumb in like a month because we do not know what these teams are going to look like, what baseball is going to look like. There might not be baseball a season in a month, but if things are the way they are, they stand, more or less the same. What do you think that the Angels are going to do this year?
I think they're capable of making a push for a wild card. I don't think they're there on the division, and I think the Astros, for all their faults, are still the Houston Astros, and they might not have Garrett Cole, but they still have Zach Greinke, they still have Justin Verlander, they still have a slew of prospects waiting because they're the Astros. So, and their lineup is still very formidable. So they're going to be hard to topple, and it helps them this year that they don't have fans in the stadium booing them for their transgressions against the Dodgers. So, that'll benefit them. And then ahead after the Astros, the next beast for the Angels to tackle is the Oakland Athletics, and they're opening against them on Friday. The Athletics, I don't want to say that they're a quietly good team because they won 97 games last year and the year before that. So that doesn't say anything quiet about them, but I think they're kind of underrated. I think their infield defense is one of the best in baseball. They have gold glovers at the corners in the infield, and they have a good lineup. They have good young pitching available to them. So those are so I think realistically we can pencil the Angels in for a third place finish, and maybe they're lucky and the AL Central falls apart.
Yeah, which can happen.
For
the Dodgers. Well, for the Dodgers, if they don't win the World Series, it's a disappointment. It's even if it's 60 game season, whatever. They're here. They made that trade for Mookie Betts, who's going to be a free agent this winter, to win a World Series. They traded for him for October to have that elite talent in October, sort of a final piece. Now the variables have changed quite a bit. If they get off to a slow start, who knows? The Diamondbacks, the Rockies, any one of these teams can kind of, play well and take that division. But the Dodgers are expected to represent the National League in the World Series, and they're a World Series favorite. They need to win the World Series, or it's sort of a disappointing. Not sort of a disappointing season. It is a disappointing season. But as we said, I'm going to keep mentioning it. This season's strange. We're here predicting things that I feel weird predicting stuff over when it's a regular season. This one's just weird, and we'll see. It's going to be every day is going to be something different, something we kind of encounter that we haven't encountered before. Covering the sport, watching the sport, fans of the sport, and the guys in it as well. The guys playing, guys coaching, managing, and all that stuff. So it's going to be super interesting season. Maria will be handling the Angels. She'll be on top of that. She'll be driving up to Oakland to make sure you guys got your coverage. I'll be at Dodger Stadium Thursday night and flying out to Houston on Monday. So we'll have your coverage over LAtimes.com and in the paper. Make sure you read the newspaper. That'll be great for us. And appreciate your time.
Gracias.